Yeah, it's not bad. What do you think about Meghan McCain? You ready to analyze the View with me a little bit?
Brave. Just a wonderful gal. I always give her the follow Friday. She still does not acknowledge me. And most of all, she's John McCain's daughter. You know,
that is
you
definitely
can't forget
that is you really cannot forget that.
Felix, Meghan was described as a pog on Majority Report today. Michael didn't know what that meant.
I wasn't aware of what a pog was.
Would you like to explain that to him?
I don't know this tawdry term.
Okay,
Jesus.
Because
you're too busy solving.
I know
problems.
the other homonym for pog. You know, pogging when you perform well at a game on Twitch. I don't know the pornographic other meaning.
So you're so invested in solving problems that you don't have time to
learn
learn
dirty
shit, right? Yeah. I really think that they're upset that people aren't jacking off because they're re-upping their energy bars.
They're solving a problem.
They're solving serious problems.
They're unboxing containers.
All right, let's start with this. Is this first one? Is this Meghan McCain's socialism freakout?
It's a Zionism.
Which one's the? Okay, I wanted the Zion. Okay, yes, please, the Zionism freakout. Just before we watch this, Felix, did you ever think that Meghan McCain might be anything other than a Zionist?
That's when she was like, "Yeah, I might be a Zionist." It's like, no way.
Yeah, really?
Wow, really going out there.
Yeah, like I might support Bernie Sanders. All right, let's go check this out.
I would go so far as to say I probably verge on being a Zionist as well. But I will say that I don't have family that is Jewish, but Joe Lieberman and Hadassah Lieberman are my family. Yeah. And I take the hate crimes rising in this country incredibly seriously, and I think what's happening in Europe is really scary. And I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional, but the idea that this is politicized, I'm really not. I was very nervous to talk about this on the show because I thought it would become politicized, and it really shouldn't be. On both sides, it should be called out. Right. And just because I don't technically have Jewish family that are blood related to me, it doesn't mean I don't take this as seriously, and it is very dangerous. Very dangerous. And I think we all collectively as Americans on both sides, and what Ilhan Omar is saying is very scary to me, and it's very scary to a lot of people, and I don't think you have to be Jewish to recognize that. And
oh, Jesus. You don't have to be a Gentile to hate her.
She thinks she's such a good person for thinking Jews shouldn't be murdered, even though she isn't Jewish. She thinks, oh, man, I am like Oscar Schindler. I just don't think there should be. Go ahead and crucify me. I don't think there should be another Holocaust. Yeah. I fucking said it.
Yeah, I am the Oscar Schindler of trust fund babies, I guess. I could verge on being that. I don't think that Jews should be killed because they killed Christ. And I'm very upset about this.
She's such a shitty thinker that, like, she's trying to do, like, a cynical thing where she goes, like, oh, yeah, no, there's anti-Semitism rising everywhere in Ilhan Omar, but her brain just fucking drops the stack of books into a puddle and she falls face first into a mound of leaves because she goes, what's going on in Europe? And then just blank, static. What? Where? What? Where?
No, I noticed that.
Specifics.
That was like the crying version of like, you know, like when the bro is like, well, you gotta look at what's happening in Nikkei to like understand the stock market.
But at least that's like proper noun.
Okay, you know what?
I mean, Europe is too. But it's like more.
Look at like,
what the fuck are you saying? Yeah. Where in Europe? Which specifically?
Well, that's become a major cliche. Like everybody knows what you're talking about, though, when you say that. Like that. To be honest, that is like she's not that far out of the mainstream. There, I hear that everywhere.
Well, there's that Douglas Murray PragerU video. Europe is committing suicide.
Right. Right, and she probably saw like a headline somewhere that like Jeremy Corbyn said Palestinians were human, and then there's like something about like a mosque opening up in France. And by the way, it's not. And by the way, what I mean, we already covered this a bunch on the show, but I mean, what the fuck is up with these kids of politicians who have done nothing of their own merit, trashing a woman who literally goes from being a refugee to being a member of Congress, like has generated more in like an hour of her life in terms of problem solving than these people ever will.
If this was like a 12% better country, you would use Ilhan Omar as an ad for America, right?
Literally.
You know?
It would be the way it would be nation branding. You would have you would beam this out across the planet and say like, hey, Maybe we just hit you with a drone.
She'd have a Nickelodeon
Maybe we
cartoon.
just opened a fucking McDonald's. Maybe we just opened a Coke processing plant over your fresh aquifers. But you know what? Here's this woman who escaped being a refugee and war in Somalia, and she is a member of Congress. Instead, what we beam out is some idiot daughter of the guy whose policies droned you, questioning whether or not she's an anti-Semite.
Yeah,
It's just like endless insult to injury.
she's one of the most inspiring stories out of like anyone elected in my time. Maybe the most. But
I think definitely the most. Honestly, I'm not being hyperbolic. I mean, I couldn't. Who else could you put in
Roland
that tier?
Burris.
Who?
Roland Burris.
Who the fuck is Roland Burris?
the guy Blagojevich appointed to Obama's old Senate seat.
All right. What was his deal?
He was nuts. He voted well though. He voted very well.
Didn't he vote?
I would love to have
liberal?
him. Yeah, I would love to have him instead of Dick Durbin.
Does
he was
it?
just weird. He had
Dick
his
Durbin
family
sucks,
The first time they interviewed Roland Burris, it was very Tom Myers because he was like, yeah, my family we already have a family plot, and I'm leaving space blank to put more of my future accomplishments on my headstone. People are like, what?
Oh, wait. He
What,
was the one.
dude?
Wait, he was the one with the list on his headstone.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was awesome. He literally had like, what was it? Wasn't he like he was like the first black speaker of the Illinois state legislature?
He did a lot of shit.
He had like a
He
lot
was
of
very
legit
accomplished in
accomplishments, but he was
Illinois,
just
yeah.
like etching them off on his headstone. It doesn't like Rod Blagojevich. Talk about a guy who got a raw deal.
He should be out, but it's
Yeah.
like how many shittier people? Like Elliot Abrams is literally in charge of our Venezuela op. Who do you think Rod Blagojevich is like a worse person? Yeah, Rod Blagojevich voted for the Iraq War. All the purity
That's
politics.
the worst thing he did.
All the purity politics people out here, just so afraid of a Serb advancing in an anti-Serb country like this. But
Rod Blagojevich should be an ad for America.
but he is like the thing. Okay, so the thing he did, his biggest crime was just saying it was very Trump, just saying exactly the illegal part of it. Everyone does that,
And everybody does. And the best part, the one thing I remember because they released these tapes, right? And basically what he's trying to do is like leverage, like I'm going to appoint somebody to Obama's Senate seat. He's elected president. And basically like exactly right. Like literally everybody else, like I want something in return. But like a fucking idiot, he insists exactly on spelling it out. And there's that part where he says, like, he's just like, I got this thing and it's fucking golden. And they want me to get nothing for
it
it?
was the casino grocery store. It was the grocery store and casino. Yeah.
Except there wasn't a mother there to
He's
say,
just talking, yeah.
like, stop swearing.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Rod Blagojevich rocked. I met him when I was like 15.
How was it?
It was great. It was wonderful. He was like the most charming politician I ever met. I haven't met a ton, but he was like very engaging and like he just cheers you up to be around. That's honestly why he got so far. Do you think he's like the smartest guy in the world?
No.
But he's just very charming.
That's the point of politics in a lot of ways. Actually, what politicians has everybody met? Then we'll get to this other. Then we'll figure out what needs to happen on The View. But I am actually curious.
This is, by the way, one of the least charismatic people on TV.
Meghan McCain.
Just a black hole of it.
Doesn't she? But I think in a way. But there's the train wreck factor.
Yeah, I guess just a woman crying all the time.
Well, no, like let's watch this actually, because this is look at
And
the
not
amount
being able to think.
Look at the entitlement and brattiness that she sort of brings to the game here, that makes it like genuinely awkward for everybody.
Border states. Many friends of mine, this is the number one and only issue. And if we sit here and act like there isn't a crisis, that it's crazy people living in border states that think that there's a crisis,
But like
winning
I
ticket
just
for
said,
Trump
like I
going
just
forward.
said, this guy who's coming in wants to help those countries. That's the way to solve the problem. Keep them there happy or whatever. Solvent, give them a house, give them food, help them, help their children.
Give a Nicaraguan
Stop the
house.
crime rates.
Well, we've had a
I'm
bunch of
talking
liberal
about
guests who
helping.
do not
Hold
want to
on.
send an aid
I
at
listen
all.
to you. Let me just finish.
Yeah, but part of your job is to listen to me.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's what's not going to happen.
She really thinks she's berating a shop girl at Body Shop right now.
Exactly.
That is someone who's never had to answer to anyone. Like, Jesus fucking
Isn't
Christ.
that disgusting though? Like honestly,
Yeah,
like
she's
we can
such an
turn into a
asshole.
joke, but she's just a terrible person who
She
exemplifies
fucking sucks so
everything that's wrong with our world.
Well, I like how she
She's so
says, "I'm just
disgusting.
saying" afterwards. So listen to it one more time here.
Me.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's what.
I'm just saying. And then Oprah, I mean, and then Whippy.
Oh, Michael.
Major fuck up.
Oh, my God.
Major fuck up.
FBI, open up.
Woke FBI. And then Whippy, but like, let's just think of the dynamics of this show. You have three women, two of whom are African American, right? And then an Italian woman, all of whom like have self-generated
women.
Joy Bear.
Just busting out the Dennis Hopper or the Dennis Hopper. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. We're slow folks who have self-generated careers. And then you have literally the daughters of two politicians. But Abby Huntsman at least is like, I'm going to pretend to be pleasant. And but do you think there's value in having Meghan McCain there as like the ultimate argument for like the elimination of all dynastic power in every shape and form?
I don't know how many people. I would like to know the average person's read on it, because there's a ton of times where I think like I know what the average person will think, and I've just given up on it. Like, you just never. People in the world are they're so fucking discombobulated and weird and conditioned.
They're discombobulated enough to like Meghan McCain.
You could see she goes for it. What? Like, the people have the weirdest.
She goes for it.
Like, if you talk to, I mean, this is verging on Selena Zito-esque, but like, if you go outside, people are like, go outside your bubble, and you'll see people support the president, and it's like, in their mind, they're like, oh, that means because they're hardworking and they like the Trump's honest. No, just because normal people have fucking bizarre opinions because they're just warped by a trillion different things. And like, to go back to Ilhan Omar a little bit, like
please.
The best, I saw like Ilhan Omar post something and this guy replied to her and was like, ma'am, I thought that honesty had left politics when Trey Gowdy resigned, but you have carried on his legacy. And that's just, there are more people like that than like people,
that's totally
any
true.
of us know who are totally dogmatic in their beliefs.
100%
and, will sort of get the party line on this, and that. A normal person is just fucking insane. A normal person is like, yeah, I respect Cynthia McKinney, Trent Lott, what? But so I don't. In my mind, she is so just interpersonally shitty that like I don't think most normal, but I don't know.
That's what I'm
I don't know.
saying. I'm wondering if people could just get the read on that just like on a very basic human level, like this isn't clearly a very bad person. I'm not. I agree. I'm not talking. And maybe the ideological lesson is if someone's entire life is handed to them simply because of their birth. Maybe that doesn't create like the best outcome. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.